What's going on, people? We are Tottenham TV back here for another Tottenham update today. It's not even Ange Postecoglou updates anymore. Today is the launch of the new Spurs home kit, an all-white kit, white shirt, white shorts, and we're not even in Europe. It's a bit of a weird one, but I think it's a very simplistic design. It's got a few designs very faded on the shirt, but apart from that, it just seems pretty much all white. I mean, there was a nice picture of Ozzy Ardiles wearing it in the kit launch yesterday. But what do you make out of it?
Yeah, look, I think it looks nice. I think I think simplicity is best sometimes, and I think it is a nice kit. But I do think it is a bit odd that obviously Tottenham are known for wearing all white when they're only in Europe. That's usually when we go in all white, and for the first time in 12 years, we're not in Europe, and this is the season we decided to go all white. Maybe it was pre-planned, so they couldn't really go back on it, and they didn't know whether we're going to be in Europe or not. But it does seem to be rubbing our face in it that we're not going to be in Europe this season.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think we should be playing in all white. I think it's tradition of the club that we play in all white just in Europe. So if we were in Europe, would we have worn blue shorts in Europe? We would have kept it all white in Europe.
I don't
I mean,
get
it's
it.
very strange why they've picked to go for all white next
Maybe it's
season
to
in every
stop
game.
Harry from going to Madrid.
fool him into that. He's playing for Madrid while
Exactly.
playing for Spurs.
You got Madrid here now. Come on. No need to go if you want an all white kit. We'll give it to you.
But look, I mean, I don't usually like the kits when I first see them, but this one I actually really like. To be honest, it's the shirt anyway. It's very simplistic, as you say.
Wasn't it very similar to the 2 years ago kit?
Yeah, just basically, it's weird because the sleeves are blue. The trim of the sleeves is blue, but there's no trim on the neck. It's just completely white, the trim on the neck. That looks a bit odd to me. I thought maybe they should have made the trim on the shoulder blue. But look, at the end of the day, I think if we do well in it, it's going to be a great kit. If we don't do well in it, it's going to be a crap kit. That's just the way it goes.
That's how it is, yeah. That's how Tottenham fans usually think. Look, it's nice. And what do you think of the fact that Harry Kane is kind of front and centre of all the kit launch material? Do you read into anything into? I know you could say the same. Bale was front and centre in the summer he left, so you can't. I guess you can't read too much into it, but it is a bit interesting, I guess. Noteworthy.
Yeah, I think Kane's staying. I've said it many a times. I do think he's staying, and then he's going to go on a free at the end of next season. So they're going to do everything they can to try keep him at the club. Look, we'll get into Harry Kane in a minute, but I think I don't read too much into it, to be honest, because like you say, Gareth Bale was the front and centre to everything that summer, and then it dragged on right until the end, and we sold him at the last day of that window. So I don't think there's too much to read into it, to be honest. But let's move on. Let's talk about Daniel Levy. Matt Law says that Daniel Levy's inclination for a painful rebuild has changed. The club realised, given the past few seasons they've had and given where they want to get back to, they realise that they now need to overhaul the squad. The key differences between now and the past is that the inclination has never been there before, and now it is. I mean, so they don't listen to Poch, they don't listen to Jose, they don't listen to Conte, and now they've realised they need to do this mad rebuild. Like, what is wrong with these guys?
Yeah, because now it's hitting where it hurts, which is his pocket. We've got no season in Europe, and he's finally have to come to terms with the fact that this has been coming, this kind of season, to be honest. We've kind of been hanging in there, like, that season under when Jose got sacked and, when Poch got sacked, we scraped Europa League on the last day, right? When on Jose scraped it. When Jose got sacked, Mason scraped Conference League on the last day. Conte performed an absolute miracle to get us in top four. We should never have been in top four that season. He performed a miracle to do that. And now we're in a situation where we could this season could have been 2 seasons or 3 seasons ago very easily. But maybe it just goes to show what a good job some of those managers were actually doing to get us into Europe in a way, because we're sitting here and now we're out of Europe, and there was no kind of assumption. You can never assume that we were going to be in Europe. You can't take it for granted, essentially is what I'm saying. And maybe we did. We took it for granted for many, many years. And now we're sitting here in 8th because of the mismanagement of the squad. And it's been needed for a long time, a reset and a rebuild, and a lot of these players had to leave. But now it's taken for what all the rest of the fan base has seen for many years, but it's taken it to come to fruition. You know what Pochettino said when in that Amazon documentary? He said he said something
He
very
said you
interesting.
need to catch it before it burns down or before it
Exactly.
catches fire or something like that.
Being a manager is not just react. You don't just react to when something goes wrong. You have to catch it. You have to realize it's going to go wrong before, and you have to catch it. And he clearly realized that was going to happen. And it seems as though with the hierarchy were deluding themselves into thinking that everything was okay. We were still getting in Europe. We still have a good squad and all these kind of things. And now it's all gone to shit, essentially. Now that it has happened, essentially, not catching it before, now it has happened. Now we're reacting to it, and shows the lack of forward planning from this hierarchy, which we've been saying all along. So it doesn't surprise me at all.
Yeah, I mean, every manager that we had, including Pochettino, but since Pochettino has been calling for this for so we could have we're going to waste so much money. We've been wasting so much money over these past 4 or 5 years. And for an astute businessman like Daniel Levy, you'd think he would listen to people that know what they're talking about, like Pochettino and the managers that we've had in since then. And it's just like, we could have saved so much money if we did it when Poch said. So much money. And who knows where we would be right now if we did do that. But such a shame. But at least the good thing is that they know that he's got it finally into that head of his, that they need to do it now.
I get it. No, I mean, I can't. I'm not going to complain. I mean, it's hard. They're going in the right direction, so that's good. But it's already gone to shit. Like we've been saying for years, it's going to go to shit. It's going to go to shit. He's like, no, it's fine. It's fine. We're like, no, it's going to shit, guys. Like you have to do something. No, it's fine. And now it's gone to shit. It's like, okay, maybe we have to do something. It's like, well, yeah, we've been saying it.
What have we said all along about Tottenham? What are we? We are a reactive club every single time and time again. And it's just frustrating, but at least it looks as though things are going to happen. But again, I'm not going to hold my breath because we've heard last summer that we were going to do this painful rebuild and we brought in players and it just didn't turn out the way we wanted it to turn out. So let's move on and let's talk about potential incomings. David Raya up first. Matt Law saying that I think it will be David Raya who replaces Hugo Lloris. Work has gone into Raya already. It's not a done deal, but if you were to ask me who I think Tottenham will sign, I would say David Raya. It looks there to be done. That's positive.
I think, and there's no reason why it isn't. I know Brentford only finished a few points behind us, but I do think obviously we're a bigger pool. I mean, he would want to come to us. And in terms of the goalkeepers at the moment in the Premier League, I mean, there is Chelsea who are probably looking for one, but I don't think many other teams right now are probably. I mean, yeah, but I don't know if De Gea signed a new contract or not. I know he's making a lot of mistakes, so a lot of Man United fans are not happy with him, but it depends on what Ten Hag wants. If Ten Hag's going to give him another year. So I don't think that's for certain. We are the only club who's 100% needs a keeper. Like Lloris is pretty much out the door. He's already admitted it. At least even with Chelsea, Kepa and Mendy are still there. We don't know what's happening with them. So maybe with all that uncertainty, we can kind of strike while we can and get him in. And I think we all know our thoughts on Raya. So I think it makes sense that we can get him in.
Yeah, I just really hope it gets done sooner rather than later because the longer it kind of plays out, more clubs might look at it and say, oh, you know what, we might take a punt on him. David De Gea's aging, he's making mistakes. Poch might start to think, oh, maybe we should upgrade on Kepa, Edouard Mendy. So we need to strike now. We need to get these deals done now before other clubs start waking up. That's the main point. But let's talk about James Maddison. We brought you the news yesterday that that Ange Postecoglou has given the okay to sign James Maddison. Jason Burt from The Telegraph is saying that Tottenham are set to move for James Maddison, who is a priority target for Postecoglou. However, Leicester have warned Spurs that the deal will cost in excess of 50 million. And I think that's only right. I mean, that's the quality of the player that we're buying, a 50, 60 million pound player, in my opinion. I think George Bannister as well on Twitter was saying that apparently he prefers a move to Tottenham over Newcastle. Apparently his wife or his girlfriend would prefer to move to London than to Newcastle. And that's what we were saying yesterday or during the week, weren't we? That maybe it would be the London pool. Yeah,
that was my thinking. He did seem to be the kind of character who wants to live in London. So it doesn't totally surprise me. But when it comes to getting the fee, I mean, again, it's a bit similar to when Eriksen was on his last year of his contract at Tottenham. We demanded also 50 million because he's that good of a player. Even though he's got a year left, you might want an even more reduced fee. But with how good he is, you want a kind of substantial fee to represent the kind of player you're letting go. Otherwise, you feel like you're getting mugged off, and they don't want to feel that way. So I think they'll probably demand 50 million. I think you can probably get that down to like 45, I would assume. But they're of course right at the beginning of the window. They always say if you're agreeing deals like in June or July, you've probably overpaid. That's what they usually say. So that's why Levy a lot of the time does wait until later in the window to get his deals done. But I think this one seems like has legs because I think Spurs is maybe we can sell a project to him, and I think 45 million or 50 million for someone of Maddison's quality and age, I think it would be a brilliant deal for Spurs.
English quota as well, something that we
Yeah.
desperately need in the squad. So, and also what you're saying about, if you sign early in the window, you're paying more. But if you sign later in the window, you're going to have more competition for people scrambling around later on in the window. And, it can rumble on right till the end. And we've seen when it rumbles on right till the end, you're not guaranteed to get your man, especially the way Levy likes to negotiate. So just get it done early on. If you're going to pay an extra 5-10 million, then so be it. At least you're getting your man.
Yeah, then you're paying an extra month's wages, aren't you? Bloody
These
Levy.
bastards, man. These bastards. Let's talk about Harry Kane. Dario AS yesterday says that Harry Kane to Real Madrid is on, but today they're saying Harry Kane to Real Madrid is off. Madrid will no longer pursue him due to Tottenham's 116 million euro asking price. Fabrizio Romano saying that Daniel Levy is fighting to keep Harry Kane, but Real Madrid are not giving up. Nothing is happening imminently. Real Madrid want the player, but it depends on Daniel Levy. Paul O'Keefe was responding to Alfredo Padula yesterday, saying that there's been a meeting taking place, and he says there was no meeting today, Tottenham and Real Madrid, about Harry Kane, despite reports that a meeting took place. And apparently Alfredo Padula blocked Paul O'Keefe on Twitter yesterday. I think he was going in on in a little bit.
He's a bit of a shoddy sauce, Padula.
Yeah, and Matt Law's saying that Kane wouldn't ever go to Chelsea, by the way. Even with Mauricio Pochettino at the helm, there is no chance. Kane really values his legacy at Spurs. So that's calmed me down a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, that makes sense to me. In terms of the Madrid stuff, I don't expect, if anything's going to happen, it's going to be imminent. It's not, I don't think
day of the window thing if he goes there, won't it?
Huh?
It'll be last day of the window if he goes
Probably, especially with the fact, even with the fact that he's got a year left, we're going to want to drag every single pound out of that deal because we're not going to be able to get such a big fee later on. So I think he's going to try and maximize it now. I think he's going to want to meet Postecoglou first, and I think they're probably going to have a conversation. I don't think anything's going to be done until Postecoglou's back in London, like on the train, like meeting the squad, and then after he's had those conversations, then we'll have a better idea of where we stand with Harry Kane and whether because in a way I want him to stay. But if he's only going to stay just to give us a year and leave on a free, I'd rather sell him now. Like I don't want him just to stay. I want him to stay with an open mind that he can still be convinced to sign a contract. I only if he's like completely closed off that possibility of signing a contract, then I think you're better off to sell him now, in my opinion. So I think Postecoglou needs a face-to-face. I don't think that's going to happen until he's like up and running I'm sure he can have conversations now, but I don't think it's going to be proper conversations till he's like properly started working. So that's not going to be for a few weeks anyway. So I'm not expecting anything to happen in the short term. I think if this deal is going to happen, it'll be probably late July, something like that, or August.
I genuinely believe like Daniel Levy will think in his mind that he can convince Harry Kane over the next year. And I think he's going to stay for one more year and then leave on a free. I really hope like during that year we can convince him, we start playing well and things are looking up, that we might persuade him to sign that contract. But I think the way it's going to play out, I do think he's going to be with us next season and then leave on a free at the end of next season, which will be painful. But
I still think this Madrid deal has legs. I really do. Even though they said it's off, I think that I wouldn't rule it out. Oh yeah.
Look, I wouldn't rule it out, but that's just the way I think it's going to plan out. Harvey Barnes, Matt Law saying that he is genuinely of interest to Tottenham Hotspur, not a top target, but he is on the list. Would you be happy to see Harvey Barnes in a Spurs shirt next season?
I would, but I was reading up again about how Postecoglou likes his wingers to play. And in a weird way, I don't know if Barnes is perfect for that. I think he's probably good at it, but what Postecoglou likes is he likes to create space for the wingers to get into one-on-one duels. And Barnes is like good at dribbling, but he's not like an amazing dribbler. He's not like in the top like 10% or something in the Premier League. Like he's like a good dribbler. He's fast. He's not the most tricky customer, but what he really excels at is his ability to get into goal scoring positions, and his finishing ability is pretty strong. And I think his link up play is decent. But what I think we really want is someone who's like with true pace, really good dribbling ability to really exploit those one-on-one situations. That's what I think we're
Mohamed
really going to be
Kudus.
looking for. Like who?
Mohamed Kudus, I said.
Oh, like Kudus. Yeah, he could be one. I mean, there's a number of like really fast, maybe younger wingers than Barnes. Barnes is now 25, is he? He's not old, but he's not. But yeah, I mean, it's fine to sign a 25-year-old. I'm not saying it's not, but I think what we probably want is someone like a really young winger, like fearless, who's going to be taking someone on like every opportunity essentially, and getting the better of them. I don't like Barnes is the kind of winger who, when he takes on a fullback, he like beats him like 4 out of every 10 times kind of thing. Whereas we want a winger who's like winning those duels like 7 out of every 10 times.
I think he'd be perfect, Kudus, man. I think he's a really, really good dribbler. He knows how to beat a man. He's versatile as well, can play a few different positions. I mean, we waxed lyrical about him during the World Cup, and when we were linked with him, I think in the January transfer window, and I think he hasn't gone anywhere. So I don't see why we shouldn't be making a move for someone like him.
Yeah, I think I like Kudus a lot very centrally, though. I wouldn't want him as my... I mean, I don't know if he would be good as that winger. He's got kind of too much to his game in a way, like when it comes to like general play. I think he likes to play centrally.
I think he can play equally as effective out wide and in the middle. I really believe that. I think he's a top quality player.
Yeah, I think we have to get our scouting hats on, and I think that's what we need. We need like some really like elite level like dribbling ability and pace as our next winger. And I just don't think Barnes is that. As much as he's a good winger, I'm not saying he would flop, but I don't think he's going to be like the perfect fit.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I kind of feel the same. I'm not like mad about Harvey Barnes, but if we're like struggling to bring in someone and it comes to the late side of the window and we haven't brought in anyone, I'd be happy to bring him in, kind of thing, but not as my first or second or third choice, in my opinion. Next up, Giovani Lo Celso. Matt Law says, I think Lo Celso will go. From what I'm hearing, from what I'm told, he doesn't really want to come back to Spurs. Surprise, surprise. Yeah,
it doesn't shock me. He's had better experiences after leaving. You could see by the end of just before he left, he had really stopped caring. To be honest, he was being really lazy. And as much as there were periods on that Spurs where he looked like he was a really good player, I just don't think he ever settled properly at Tottenham, and I don't think he's happy at Spurs. Especially as well, he signed under an Argentinian in Pochettino, and he probably felt like he's someone who always had his back, but he left very quickly. And then Conte and Mourinho fancied him, to be fair, but Conte never really did. And I think he probably feels like he needs to move on. Because he doesn't want to come in again and fight for his place and try and prove himself. Like, he wants to go somewhere where they want him and they appreciate him. And at the moment, Tottenham is in that place.
Yeah. Another one that we're going to have to cut our losses on this summer. And last but not least, let's talk about Mauricio Pochettino for one last time before we see him in that Chelsea dugout. As Matt Law says, that Chelsea were astonished that Tottenham did not make a move for Mauricio Pochettino this summer. Throughout Chelsea's pursuit of the Argentine, Chelsea were very worried that the call would come from Daniel Levy. Chelsea was shocked that the call never came, and they saw a call from Levy being the only thing that they could ruin their pursuit.
Yeah, I'm surprised that we never even entertained the idea, it seemed, of getting Pochettino back this summer, considering that we were so sure about getting him back a couple of years ago. Look, we've got Ange now, so no point like crying over what could have been, because I'm excited to see what Ange can bring. But it is peculiar. I wonder what the reasoning is why Pochettino was never given the call. It's going to hurt to see him in that Chelsea dugout from the start of the season. But look, I'm backing Big Ange. I'm hoping he can make a big impact, and I'm confident that maybe we won't regret this decision.
Anyway, Ari said on the other day that Big Ange is better than Poch anyway, so I'm going to hang by every word of that. And as much as it pained me to see Poch go to Chelsea and how much I wanted him back when the manager search started, I'm happy with where we're at the moment in terms of who we have as our manager, and yeah, I've kind of closed the book on Pochettino now, so it is what it is. I'm not really, it's not really getting to me that much anymore, as much as it probably will do when we see him in that dugout when we play them.
Yeah, now we have a manager, I think it kind of calms the nerves a bit. Now we have someone who we can like get behind through the door as well, who we think can bring the football that we want. So it's time to move on.
Yeah, absolutely. So that is your Tottenham update for today. Let me know in the comment section below your thoughts on the new kit and your thoughts on all the news topics that we've talked to you about today. Like, subscribe, and comment. And as always, come on, you Spurs.